What's up, guys? It's Mr. Janvid, and today we are back on the Pokemon Showdown server, and we have a really cool sun team today. I actually genuinely did not intend to do the weather. We did rain, then we did hail, now we're doing sun. And so it was genuinely not intentional, but my boy Hezo, maybe he knew, and he passed me this very cool sun team. It had an Heligo, which I think is probably kind of underrated at the moment. Still relearning the meta, so still learning the patterns of what, but I can't imagine too many things dealing with, just like in Oras, right? Was it Oras? No, Gen 7. And so I initially had Bulu and Blissey here, and when I looked at it, I was like, well, damn, if I run into sand, I ought to lose. Like, Drill just 6-0s me by itself, even outside of sand. And so I made some slight adjustments, and I tried not to get away from the idea he had. And so that's why Zarude is there, and he had a Blissey for electric types, but again, for Spectre, again, I was like, okay, I really want to stick to what he had in mind, and so that explains why it's kind of cool, but kind of not at the same time. So we're gonna find a battle, and before we grab one, guys, I'd like to shout out my guy Checkmate. He has grown so much in confidence. He broke 1600. I remember just I had to talk some sense into him because he didn't think he was gonna pass 1200 and all these. I think it was 12 or 1300, and look at him now a couple weeks later. Shout outs to 412 gang. He broke, I think, 2007, and so he said he remember how to play again. And then shout outs to Frosty, my man, top 5 in UU. So just a bunch of breakthroughs. People finally hitting their goals. They love to see it. And so look at his team, right? Heligo could destroy him, but it also is kind of bad. Now upside is he's super T-Spike susceptible, and that's why I actually had Choice Scarf T-Spike on here. Cinderace can get dropped in 1-2. Swampert is likely Stealth Rocker, and it's likely Choice Scarf Lander, but Landers likes to get comfy, and I can surprise KO some pheromones and all that good stuff. But first and foremost, let's break it down. So no weather, nothing to contend my weather, and so Venusaur and Heatran are about to go crazy. More so Venusaur. In fact, Undergrowth, I just sweep him straight up. In fact, I need to kill his Landers early. Zarude on bulking up also destroys my opponent, kind of. But Magearna needs to be dropped. So Magearna is going to be something that's problematic. Landorus' core purpose is going to be to guard against, preventing Coco from doing whatever it wants. Semi-checking his Cinderace. Really a lot, honestly. A lot on his team. And so if I were my opponent, I'd try to double down on threatening Torkoal. But how would I do that? Phase 1 is Landorus. I didn't expect Swampert. Swamperts are tricky because they can have. What I'm gonna do is toxic the Swampert first. They can have. So yeah, generally people just Stealth Rock. I always say mindlessly. The reason I use that term is because there's generally not like a strategy behind the Stealth Rock. It's usually like, okay, I'm gonna set them up because you're supposed to set up Stealth Rocks turn 1, and the reason that's dangerous here is because this is his fire resist. So if my Tran gets going, because I'm gonna just Earthquake here if he flip turns, right? That's fine. Intimidate, nothing he has can threaten me for a KO. And so he opts for Rillaboom. Tough to say what he'd do, but Sun always my best bet here. As he U-turns, I know I can cover for whatever he goes into, and that's why it's dope to. So he goes Landers. Grassy terrain is up, so I'm not going to take any kind of damage from this. I'm going to just Rapid Spin here as he SDs. I'm willing to give him Sun because you'd assume I'd go to my Landers here. Right, excellent. So I lose my Heat Rock, which is a big deal. It is a big deal, but let's see if I were my opponent, I'd go Swampert here. Zarude, yeah, Swampert makes the most sense. And then I'll pivot to Heatran here and start doing a lot of damage. If he Earthquakes, he's a king. but Cinderace is the mon he went to. I'm curious as to whether or not I one-shot Cinderace from here. What did I just have in? Zarude is the heat. Cinderace is the Zarude. But maybe it was just like, okay, well, you know, Sun boosted. Wow, they don't have. Let's just use the Z move set because that's not timid. See what the timer is. So Sun boosted, man, Eruption. I guess the new mons aren't updated yet. Cinderace has some decent bulk, so I wouldn't slouch on Cinder here. Even though I think he'd just go for U-turn anyway, just based on how he played the first couple of games, first couple turns. Sun. Eruption does 84. Earth Power doesn't ever KO either. Okay, so all that work might be for nothing. I might have just given him, so he hates JKs though, which is good. Sun boosted Powerball would be a waste. Let's get some mileage because he's probably just gonna U-turn into Rillaboom. Yeah, losing my son was tough. So if I were my opponent, I'd U-turn out into Swampert. It's very little downside, honestly. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring in Venusaur strictly for positioning. All right, U-turn does have. Because he's confirmed banded. I mean, I assumed as much. I'm gonna get like a good bit of health back, but I needed to force his Cinderace in. If I play this right, because with Grassy Terrain up, he gets to U-turn, and that's the him getting to U-turn repeatedly is the issue, and maybe I just can't get around that. U-turns, and so I'll set the Sun back up so that his because I know he's gonna U-turn there. So my Venusaur is that I didn't think his Landers would have knockoff, so I don't regret leaving my Torkoal in. Like SD knockoff is not what I expected, because unless he has 3 attacks. So right here with the Sun up, I'm gonna have to make good use because I can't. The way it's playing out, Nihilego can really mess him up, but Flip Turn and Earthquake, I'd assume. So interesting that he was gonna give me Swampert here, or like allow Venusaur to come in, because I'm assuming he's just gonna Rocks right with Sun up for 3 turns, and so he only has 1 proper Grass Resist. So I get the free growth, and this is where it's gonna get interesting. I think he's gonna stay in with the Swampert. And it would be nice to KO it because, again, you know, Heatran, even without the Sun, can destroy him. If I growth any Earthquakes, I have to Giga Drain after that. How much health am I getting back? Would I get back enough health to where Cinderace can... Because I don't have the terrain. I thought I had the terrain, so he could technically Earthquake. I'm thinking, what's the worst case scenario? We'll have to see how much I get back from Cinderace. So I'll Giga Drain here because I know he's gonna stay in, and so that opens up a secondary win condition with Heatran, and so after Cinderace, I think Orb Quake might kill him. I mean, Orb Earth Power, because this Cinderace is becoming a nuisance, and it says secondary Fire Resist. I'm just thinking about what happens after the fact, because I think I'm modest to Earth Power. It made a lot of sense for him to EQ there, so pretty high shot to knock him out. Yeah. even if I didn't, again, I have the secondary win con and Scarf Heatran's Fire Blast. Though, it's not reliable. But I also have Eruption. Eruption around where I'm at. Because I'm at 100. I'll be at 88. 88% Eruption should do the trick. Especially if I get the sun back up. So I had to play around a bit in the beginning. He played his Swampert very recklessly. Like, I don't give a fuck about this Swampert. Maybe he expected my Heatran to be Specs. In which case, I would have played it differently. I would have murdered his. Well, I guess I didn't even have a lot of like Specs Heatran wouldn't have, because Rillaboom outspeed it might have super. It definitely has something to hit steals, either high horsepower, superpower. Swampert, I need a lot of conditions met to even do. Swampert probably wouldn't even have died. But I'm really happy with the Giga Drain call because it just made a lot of sense for him to stay in with the Swampert to EQ, expecting me to growth. Because if I growthed or if I attacked, if I predicted McGearn or something and I earth powered on that switch, it opens him up a lot to mine the Heligo. And so if it is crossing his mind that, it might be Scarf, then it makes even more sense. And so with this one more turn of Sun, he has to decide, okay, who am I willing to lose? If he goes for Landorus, he has to risk me going to my own. And him just losing a turn of momentum. Maybe he just left the battle. But, so the team came through in the first one. Really happy with how, again, the read into Swampert. Try to play the games in a way where I don't have to predict, because the reason that, again, prediction is fun and it's cool, and if I'm playing for fun I'll be a lot more aggressive. You've seen more like if I'm rushing through a game, so it's not like it's not, I don't know how to do these things or it's not cool and whatnot. But the reason it's important to try not to predict, and I need to find a better way to explain this concept, and I will over time. In the book I explain it thoroughly, but it requires a lot of context. And so what I mean by not having to predict is, if you can figure out a way to win just straight up, just like simply bomb, boom, bing, bomb, that is better than having to predict your opponent because you don't know his skill level. And so you may be expecting him to expect something that he didn't even know existed, and you just predict around and lose the game when you could have just had a solid game plan and won by making quote unquote predictable plays. And so, like, looking at this game, super weak to Venusaur. Like, it's a lot of pressure on his Pelipper, so unless that's Assault Vest, Melmetal, which seems to be like on every team these days. So pretty much gonna just assume that's the case. Landorus is gonna be very important, as you're gonna see, because Pelipper generally don't have heavy duty boots. The Heligo, I need to muscle pass Melmetal a lot. I like T-Spikes a lot in this because it punishes his Rain Mons, which we don't want in. Zarude checks both his Rain Mons. Zarude is solid here. I'm prioritizing rocks for sure. Heatran is decent, not amazing, decent at best. Venusaur under Sun. So how can I? What can't I guard against? I can't guard against Barraskewda under Rain. So if that's the case, and I'm expecting Barraskewda under Rain, what's my best bet versus Pelipper? Let's say I were to start with my Torkoal to get Sun up. You would start with this is not easy. I'm not expecting Pelipper, but if I figured if he did Pelipper, what I'll do is T-Spike here. One, Pelipper can't knock me out, but it also would be really dumb to leave this Pelipper in and potentially get Meteor Beamed, potentially get Power Gem, potentially get Thunderbolted. So I'd assume that my opponent knows that the Heligo is a rock type and he's a flying type, and it doesn't make sense to lose your weather turn one. Now if he does stain, I don't lose the game, so I'm not I'm not over leveraged or anything like that. And I knew that, okay, well, if that's the case, the root should be able to come in comfortably. Oh, good play, good prediction there with the sludge wave. I guess that was pretty obvious, wasn't it? He's gonna use it again for sure. Perhaps I should have went hard. Vina would have covered water, and but I don't want Vina taking any damage at all. I think it's a 0% chance he goes for earth power, but because what would you need to predict here, you know? If I go Torkoal and I get it wrong, do I lose the game? Not necessarily. If I sack Zarude, go Torkoal, I'll still have to give up another mon. So I'm gonna make a high risk play here. If he predicts my Torkoal, I don't lose the game. He went for Surf, that made no sense. If you're gonna predict, because Surf wouldn't have killed Zarude. If you're gonna predict, you needed to, but yeah. But I'm glad that was a lot of good information that I just got from that turn, because that didn't make sense. So now I have to cover for Earth Power and Pelipper. Pelipper makes more sense to me, but what's my countermeasure to that? So Zarude here. He actually stealth rocks. Okay. So power whip. So I'm a Darkest Lariat hard here. Him stealth rocking means he's committing to don't think you ever hard Pelipper. You don't know anything about my Zarude. What's my best bet? Well, I suppose if Melmetal comes in, it's not the end of the world. So we're in a Darkest Lariat. He does go hard Pelipper. So basically there, if Power Whip into, because with the rocks up, he has a lot of the momentum, right? And I might have to win this game without rocks. So I'll get the whip off. It's not enough. So basically what I was trying to do there, he's getting in a situation where, because now his Rain Man has to come in on what's it called? So Zapdos, I should have, maybe he has Weather Ball. I've seen that. Okay, so he just had attacks in front of him. Good. And so I haven't shown whether or not I had, like, you know, Power Whip, Meteor Beam or anything like that. So he just leaves it in. Okay, awesome. I really don't know why he left Zapdos in. I'm actually kind of surprised I one-shot. And so this is a big turn because of the T-Spike, I can comfortably go to Landorus here and get up Stealth Rocks. It's going to punish his Pelipper as he double Iron Bashes. Tempted to Quake. In fact, Quake is the play here because we're probably going to sweep him with Nihilego, and I know he's going to stay in. And he doesn't kill, which is huge, so that means I can Stealth Rock here. Bet. Because I'm assuming Clef would come in. Even if he doesn't switch this out, I'm good. So Pelipper comes in, and ideally we hit this Stone Edge here. It's a pretty important Stone Edge. Nice. So now we get Rain Control. Like, my opponent misplayed a ton of different turns, but his misplays in the beginning is what had him in the position to where he could have had a shot to begin with, you know. So as of now, I'll gauge the Earthquake damage. He could be a Calm Mind variant, right? Let's see. Yeah. Sludge Wave should still 2-hit KO easily. You know, it's funny. I was gonna put yeah, it's doing too much. It's doing too much. We would have basically there. What I need to do was go Torkoal and Growth, but I wanted to spam Sludge Wave there because push comes to shove, I can overwhelm him with the fire move, Zarude's Power Whip. Now, though it did mean I'd have to hit certain moves, but I didn't want, because Sludge Wave did 60, which means the second one that wouldn't have killed him, I don't think, but it would have gotten to a point where he either has to attack me or go for crit. And the moment he attacks me, then I can get my Venusaur in and start overwhelming. Because all I needed in the end game was well, it depends. It depends. It could have mattered. It could have mattered. In fact, versus Landorus, I should have hearted to Nihilego. But I mean, it's been the same thing. Cute, calm minded as I went in the Heligo, did 60 and see him again. I mean, I doubt he had the damn flamethrower. So Venu probably, I just go into Sun and Venu would have just shut him down, like beat him 1v1 with Growth. And then I just sweep with, what's his face? So it could have gone a lot of different ways. The Heligo wasn't fucking around though, and you know, crit. And so we're facing, is this the third rain? Did we face rain thrice? What was the first guy's team? No, it was weatherless. It was weatherless. But this isn't even really rain. This is just a Pelipper, like a Specs Pelipper. But it does matter because he can, you know, reset my weather and whatnot. Actually, it is rain. He has a Barraskewda. Not paying attention. Okay, so what's Landorus' core purpose in this one? Primarily to guard against his, like, just that. That means his Pelipper might not be Specs. The Heligo T-Spikes means Barraskewda and Pheromosa gets punished if that is what he's running. Veno on Growth is a problem. Unfortunately, he has Magearna too, but he's super weak to fire. So Rocks plus Heatran is really handsome here. How would I get Rocks up? I get Rocks up versus Ferrothorn or his Landorus. So ideal situation, I bait out Pheromosa because I feel like he feels pretty comfortable Pheromosing. I don't think he'd expect me to be Scarf, right? So one of his biggest rain threats. Sucks, bro. Well, now he knows I'm Scarfed. And so I'm expecting a U-turn out into Pelipper. If it suspects Pelipper, then Zarude's going to get ramsacked. Is that something that I'm okay with? Well, he might be. This might be his rocker. Let's see. Man, I figured. But he doesn't know what kind of lander I am. And so he sees the leftovers. Again, you know, you'd assume, okay, well, Zarude should come in here. I do need my landers for his, because it seems to be Scarf. You know, again, it could be Rocks, Ferrothorn, all these fun things. But best case, so Zarude's my weakest link. He does attack into me, Specs too. That has to be Specs. I did so much, which means I'm staring down Magearna slash Pelipper. Magearna slash Ferrothorn. Could pivot and then Toxic. But I do think he's gonna go hard Ferrothorn, so I'm not going to. He goes Magearna. No. Okay. So we whip here. I'm pretty sure he's just gonna go for Volt Switch, Flare Cannons. Okay. I'm getting all these plays wrong. So Flare Cannon Specs. So we're gonna, since it's one more turn of rain, allegedly, we're gonna force the Rocks up because I want to overwhelm as Lando comes in. Nice. And keep forgetting I don't have Rocks. So I'm gonna Stone it. 2 Stone Edges versus an offensive Pelipper. What's my worst game? Pelipper comes in, expects. Stone. Yeah, Stone Edge is my play here. That's annoying. That's really annoying. That's like super annoying, because I don't know what he is yet, and that bit of damage, every bit of damage matters. Okay. My biggest qualm is Pelipper has. Let me see if I toxic it. No. Alright, so he actually goes for Ferrothorn, fearing me going Pelipper, which is great. Which means that Heatran is very solid here. He could opt for the rocks, because it would put me in a really bad spot if he. I actually don't need my Heatran Scarf here, but he does rocks, which is could be a mistake. I don't know how much Pelipper takes from Eruption. Yeah, it doesn't die, which I needed. I need it to be 2 KO'd. But if I attack this, that means I get Sun permanently, which is great for Venusaur. And the Magearna is already low enough to where I can kill it. Pheromosa. Tough turn. Venusaur loses to Ferrothorn though. And if that Ferrothorn, the Ferrothorn can beat me by itself if I'm not careful. This is tough turn. What does he go for? I'm gonna risk Venusaur here. I don't think you ever Hurricane, but if he does, kudos. Weather Balls, but I'm faster than Pelipper. Okay, and so Giga Drain's free here. Ferrothorn I know is gonna come in, but this gives me the opportunity to reset the weather. There's very little he can do. In fact, I might be able to just spin. Knockoff would make sense. He pivots to Landorus, the Reinform. But now I have the weather control, which is what I wanted. Yeah, he predicted me to Blank. So Quake is free. Well, I don't even need. Ferrothorn comes in here. No, I don't need to make that risk. That made sense to Earthquake there. I would have Earthquake there, predicting me to double to Heatran. Ferrothorn, yeah. And then you Leech Seed again. Well, you could pivot to Pelipper here since you're slower, but I don't think you would. So he Gyro Balls. That means he's expecting. If he has Gyro Ball, because now it's getting to a point where my Nihilego is gonna be a problem, where I can Power Gem sweep him. You know. So he predicted me to go to my Venusaur there. That's great, because he's gonna Leech Seed here. But our Earthquakes are doing way too much. You know, and so Earthquake into like Leech Seed into potential Landorus would be pretty bad for me here. So Heatran makes a lot of sense. Because if he goes to Landorus and forces Defog, then I get to go for whatever I want, honestly. So he does go for the Defog. Problem with this is I can always set him back up, because really the rocks help my Venusaur a lot and my Torkoal a lot. And if he goes hard Pelipper, which he can never do, then it puts him in a very awkward position. So I'm a hard Torkoal here. because I should never die to anything he goes for. So he's Quiver Dance. That's a lie. Well, so he has to hit Focus Blast twice. Well, he has to hit Focus Blast a couple different times. So who do I want? Who can I risk losing? Since he's Quiver Dance, I can risk losing Venusaur. So he misses this Focus Blast. Man, that means that's the one that I could have killed him on. So he's going to Ice Beam here. Again, it's just going to come down to does he hit all his Focus Blasts, honestly. Because he's faster than me. And he's special attack boosting. So, but he could Quiver Dance again. Again, it's going to come down to how many Focus Blasts he hits. Could I have played around Quiver Dance? I don't know. What would I have need to do? I'd have to left Lando in. No, I'd never leave Lando in there because he could have just been a generic U-turn variant. So he hits the Focus Blast and crit. So that means there's a 0% chance that he's gonna hit this Focus Blast. And man, so the Focus Blast turn that he needed to miss was, because now I just guaranteed lose. I don't actually guarantee lose. If he misses this, I'd assume he has something else. Bug Buzz probably kills me from here. So I actually don't guarantee lose, which is funny. But yeah, he needed to hit 2 Focus Blasts in a row, which is, yeah, I don't regret anything in this game. What could I have even done to avoid a Quiver Dance Pheromosa? I'd have to have stayed in with Landorus and just been like, if he's Quiver Dance, and just kind of gone for broke. So let's see, if we knock this out, we haven't lost. That's why I said the game's not over yet. Because Landorus, if it outspeeds Pelipper, because he's going to go to his Landorus here, and he's going to go for Defog. If he goes to Magearn, that requires too much risk. So he actually goes to Pelipper. Oh yeah, that makes sense too. But it's still not over yet. Right, Pelipper makes perfect sense. It's still not over yet. Assuming he's modest. If he's timid, it is over yet. Okay. So he should go to Landorus, then shuffle to Ferrothorn and all that stuff to reduce my EQ. But with some crits and whatnot. Man, Pheromosa really messed me up. It's crazy because Torkoal is the only mon that dodged the hit. Torkoal, the slowest mon on my team. I should have just trusted Lord Cole from jump. And so here, he's just going to go for... Doesn't really matter what he goes for, honestly. Okay. Why is he Stone Edging? If he misses a ton of stone, he might lose now. Like, he's putting it in a spot. If I crit his Ferrothorn, because I think Mag still dies from where it's at, even if I'm intimidated. Like, he's choking. Okay. Hold up. Stone Edge is doing 24%. Still gonna Earthquake here. Okay. $24. How much did the last one do? 26. Yeah, I need him. He's staying in. Okay. And so if I crit Ferrothorn, or he misses the Leech Seed, Crit Lando. Crit him. Crit him. Crit Lando. Or dodge. 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 Critter dodge. Critter dodge. Critter dodge. No. Crit. Crit. Crit Lando. Crit. 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 Or like, just get the roll. Just get the roll. Oh, Lando, we needed you there. So, I actually, he almost choked the game. Good game. But yeah, Pheromosa messes us up. It is funny because Pheromosa is being suspect tested at the moment. But yeah, I enjoyed using this team. So shout outs to you, my man, because I want you guys to feel like I don't want somebody who maybe not the most confident team builder to, you know, I want to pass jam a team, but like I'm nervous about like my team not doing well or it's not being good. And so I'll spruce it up. I'm learning the meta bit by bit. So I'll spruce your team up a bit and then still use it. Like, for example, this. Now, it's not the perfect patch to his team because we have to keep it the structure the same way, like as, you know, as close to his original as possible, but still his team, you know? And so thanks for the team, Hizo. And thanks for watching, everybody. Hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.